Okay guys, today I'm going to take you through the whole process of setting up your gradebook using percentages. First thing you do is you log into Blackboard. You'll start at your Launchpad. I have already created a class, so we won't, hopefully you've learned to do that. So I'm going to open that class, multi-category weighted LHS Dan Thompson in this case. Alright, now I'm not going to be working with the student tools in here. So I'm going to hide that to save some real estate. I am going to be working in the Grade Center, so I'm going to go there to the full Grade Center. And then now that I'm in the full Grade Center, I'm not going to be working anywhere else for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and hide this, the management tools panel, so I'll have a little more real estate there. All right, when you start, you'll have the last name, first name, username, and probably a whole lot more open that you don't need. All of the ones you want to keep open, just hide them. I mean, keep them open. The others that you don't want to keep in your screen because you don't need them, you just go to the down chevron and click Hide Column. This is kind of the default that Blackboard provides in the Grade Center, but you don't have to show any of these. Keep in mind that the students, the username will be their student number. So again, you can hide that if you want. Totally up to you. I would recommend at least keeping their last name open. A couple things else we need to do. The weighted total column, I highly recommend you just delete that column to start with. The next thing is you have this total column. You have a green check, which means it's an external grade. What that means is if the student has the report card module turned on their launch pad or landing page, whatever you call it, their start site, it'll show the grade, that grade there. So what I recommend, since we don't want to show them a running grade with a lot of points, etc., I would recommend you go to Edit Column Information. I'm clicking the down chevron, select Edit Column Information, and then just scroll down to the bottom and select No in the options and No for the include this column and show this column. No, and then click Submit. All right, now what you will see is that you have, it's not being shown, the column is not visible to the users, and now that I know it's not going to show up for the kids, I will go ahead and hide the column from me also because I don't need to see it now. If I ever want to see it, I can always unhide it in the Manage Column Organization. But for now, that's all we need to do. All right, as you set up your Grade Center, the first thing you want to do is go to Manage Grading Periods, and you want to create a grading period called Marking Period 1, Marking Period 2, Marking Period 3, Marking Period 4. That is all you need to create. I'm going to pause for just a minute here so you can get those set up. So create, give it the name, MP1, and I recommend go ahead and do a starting date, like when these terms started, 19th for example, and an end date you want to always go about 30 days past the end of the term. So I'm going to just go February 21st. If you want to associate columns, those are things you're going to grade, with grading periods, if they have a due date, then you can check this. And it's not a bad idea to go ahead and check it. So anytime you give a due date, if the due date is within the marking period range, it will automatically become part of that marking period. And then you click Submit. Now I'm going to go ahead and submit this one, but you can see now I have two. And I don't want to have two, so I'm going to just delete this one. I just want you to see how to do the process of creating one. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's all. Right? Since I don't have my tools over on the left, I can just use the breadcrumbs at the top. Go back to Grade Center. All right, so now we've created our grading periods. Our grading schemas, the one you have is called Letter. If you'll notice, if you go to the Edit menu, it is exactly the same as the Fauquier County Public Schools grading schema. 90 to 100, 80 to 90, 70 to 80, 60 to 70, and 0 to 60. I would pretty much ignore this unless you want to manually enter grades. What this means is if you enter an A, then that will calculate as 95%. Anyway, so there's our grade center. Grade schema. It's already set up. So I'm just going to cancel that. We'll just use that one. If you wanted to rename this, you could. That's totally up to you. So back to the grade center. Now that I know my grading scheme is good. All right, back in the grade center. The color codes, just an FYI, all that is it gives a color code for, and you can set up whatever color it is for the grade range. So example, if I wanted a green to be an A, the 90 to 100, then I can make that color code green for that grade range. If I wanted yellow to be a C, I could do the 70 to 80 be yellow. And for example, and if I wanted the F to be in red, I could do the 0 to 60 in red. But that's all that's for. It doesn't unfortunately do categories. All right, the next thing we do want to do though is categories. I just skipped this, by the way. I just skipped color codes but you can do it if you want. Next thing we want is categories. All right, now I've already created several categories here. And the ones I've created, you'll notice, are all caps. That just helps me to find them later on. But I want to show you how to do this. I'm going to create one more category. I'm going to call this category projects. And again, I'm keeping all caps so that it will make it easier for me to find and then submit. That's all I need to do. These are the categories that I use in my classroom. That's kind of what you want to think of. What category do you use? Create those categories. If you already have tests is already provided by Blackboard, as is the basic assignment category. It's important to understand that in Blackboard, these categories that they provide for you cannot be changed or deleted. And the way that it's built is supposed to make it so all you need to do is, if it's a test, you put it in test. If it's an assignment of anything you're going to grade, you put it in assignment. But we like to use different categories, so that's fine. All right, once you get your categories created, go back to OK. You finished creating your categories, and now you should be ready to start using the Grade Center. At this point, if I create a column, what I'm creating is an item that I will grade. Okay. For example, my first graded item. I'm just going to give it that so I'll know. If I scroll down here, this is kind of important. If you do things by putting in how many points they got, leave it at score. I would highly recommend just leave score as score. If you want to be able to see what the percentage of that score was, then you can use the secondary display for percentage. Here's where you can put it in your categories. So I'm going to say my first one was a quiz, and you need to put your points possible. I'm going to put an odd number like 37, and you'll see why I do score and percentage later on. So I have 37 points possible. My next option is to add a rubric. I can select, create, or use one from existing that I can modify. Since this is marking period 1, I'm going to put this in marking period 1. Remember what I said earlier about if you put a due date? Well, it really does 3 good things for you. By putting a due date, if it's within the marking period date range that you set up, if you did that, it will automatically change it into marking period 1, number 1. Number 2, it will add a to-do list, add to the student's to-do list with a tell them that it's a due date, and also it will add it to their calendar. So that's a good idea to put a due date in. Let's say it's due, I'll put tomorrow or later. And then include the column, show the column, and if you want to show statistics for the average or the median of the class, you can do that. But generally, I'm not going to change those at all, and then I submit. So what I've just created is a column for my first graded item. Notice at the top right up here, when I select that, I get up here in this area right here, it gives me the name of the item, how much it's worth, and what marking period it is, and what category it's in. So that'll get you started. Now I can just go through and put the grades in manually for this item. I'm going to stop now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to do your marking period grades. If you have any questions, talk to your ITRT. Thank you.